And Drew, you can let me know how many people have joined.
Yeah, I'll let you know once it's updated.
Yep, we're live right now. People are
Thank
starting
you.
to join.
Perfect. Just have about 10 right now, Dan.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Drew, I'm curious how many we have so
Yeah,
far.
so it's 7 o'clock now. We're at 20.
Okay. So I have 7 o'clock as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start. First of all, I'd like to welcome all of the families that are joining us tonight. My name is Dan Doak. If you haven't met me yet, I'm the principal at Weston Middle School, and I'm here with our assistant principal, Drew Walters, as well as our director of technology, Mr. DeVito, who has helped us tremendously. This is our first time doing a Zoom webinar, and I appreciate Mr. DeVito's help in getting this up and running. I'd like to give a very special welcome to our sixth grade families that are joining us, as well as any of the new families to Weston this year. So the purpose of this evening is really just to give you a little background about why Weston Middle School is making this change in our practice and what the actual change is. If you have questions, there is a feature that you can type in questions, and Mr. Walters will be monitoring that. We have time for some responses to those questions at the end of the session. And we are recording this session, so we will be posting this as well. Um, in addition, we have already prepared some frequently asked questions that I've been getting from some families on our website, and I've linked that at the end of the presentation. But if you go on the Weston Middle School website, there is a new news item that has the link to the frequently asked questions about the Yondr pouches. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So Yondr is the company that we've contracted with to provide these pouches that, once they are locked, require a magnet to unlock them. And our new practice is at the middle school to require students to put, as you'll see later in the presentation, their cell phones, AirPods, smartwatches, and other personal electronic devices into these pouches in preferably in airplane mode or powered off and turned off, during the school day when they enter the school building. But schools are not the only area in our society that has a desire for phone-free spaces. Theaters, comedy clubs, concerts, special events like weddings, warehouses, and corporate areas are also beginning to use um, Yondr pouches so that they also can have phone-free spaces. You know, it's interesting when you think about how many hours the typical teenager spends on their phone each day. And I was shocked when I learned this statistic. I had no idea that it could be up to 7 hours. But when I started watching some of these videos, reading some of these articles, listening to the kids themselves in their own words, they say they're basically sometimes constantly on their phone. And so if you extrapolate that over a well-lived life, students are spending or will spend in this generation almost 22 years of their life on their phone, which seems dramatic. A lot of schools across the country, across the world, are realizing that we didn't get this right originally, that we needed to really look at our cell phone policies. More current research has made it abundantly clear, um, where they're talking about teenagers and the amount of time they spend per week on their screens, the digital distractions, and its impact on academic performance, um, anxiety, the rising anxiety among our students. And, you know, this article talks about teen girls, but I can tell you it's girls and boys in this epidemic of deep fake nudes in the school. So it's sexting, it's all sorts of uh, challenges that cell phones are posing in society, not just in schools. But what we're trying to do is create a culture in Weston Middle School where students are in a phone-free environment. And we're doing that, if you look at the frequently asked questions on the website, the real reason is because we know this is what students need. This is this is what's right for kids. We care about the kids and we want them to be academically performing well as social and emotionally. We know from the data that since the iPhone was introduced in 2007, the students are sleeping less, spending less time with their friends, that they're more anxious, and ironically, more likely to feel lonely. I think for a while we were thinking that social media was helping to connect kids. And I can tell you anecdotally at the middle school, what we were seeing in the last several years when we did allow students to have their phones with them up until the start of the school day, say they arrive at 7:20 up until 7:45, there were students sitting next to each other, not talking, but just sitting there on their phones, either playing games, scrolling on apps. Um, this year, in the first few days of school, when we tell them they need to put their phones away, we actually see them talking to each other and interacting socially. Yondr has been at this since 2014. You know, many of our neighboring districts um, are also, if they haven't already, are thinking about or planning to move to similar practices with Yondr bags. And those that aren't, for one reason or another, are still doubling down on their banning of the cell phones during the school day. Our new practice really isn't that different than what we used to do in terms of telling students that they weren't allowed to have their phones during the school day. We've always told them the phones were supposed to be off from 7:45 until 2:30 and out of sight. Unfortunately, it became kind of a cat and mouse game where kids were either hiding their phones in the classroom or even more likely taking very frequent bathroom breaks to go into the bathrooms to use their phones. I can tell you there was a time last spring where I walked into the to a bathroom, a boys' bathroom, and confiscated 3 phones from students who were out of class on their phones. This is just a few more statistics about mental health, the impact of mental health or cell phones on mental health for our students, and academic performance. And I think that's why we're hearing more and more. Um, in fact, on my way home from the middle school today, I was listening to the radio and heard about a news article about 7 states that have now made it illegal to have phones in school. And there were some interviews with students who were talking about how, while they may have not liked the idea and maybe aren't in favor of a law prohibiting phones in school, did recognize that they're able to pay attention more in school and that they're feeling more connected to their peers. It was last spring, I think, though, that was a real wake-up call for many of us when the US Surgeon General warned about social media and its impact on our youth's mental health. He was calling it a crisis, a health crisis, and one that we must urgently address. We know that over 1 million students are using Yondr every day. I think this may even be out of date from what we heard earlier today from one of the Yondr representatives. They're using, I think she said, in 27 countries and in all 50 states. And in all of these areas, um, there has been a significant impact on classroom engagement, on student behavior, and in academic performance. Again, this is just information from Yondr about their surveys with their school partners, and I think it's important to note that we know that since 2021, since the pandemic, that we have seen nationwide rates of teen depression and suicide really increasing. And some of these researchers have traced this back to their phones. There are so many, this is just a sample of some of the different partnering schools, but we are seeing every day more and more schools across the country and across the nation who are partnering with Yondr to help make their schools cell phone free, distraction free, and more more socially connected. So what's it going to actually work, or how's it going to look for your students? Mr. Walters and I are going to meet with each of the grade level teams tomorrow and give them a presentation. It's not this exact same presentation. It's geared a little more towards the students. In fact, on this slide, I have some videos that we made today, which I think I will show Mr. Walters. I know we talked about whether or not I should show them to the parents. They're really more for the students, but I think it's important for everybody to see this and to see what it's actually going to look like at Weston Middle School. But basically, the idea is that when students come into school, as soon as they enter the school, whether it's through the main lobby, if they're dropped off by the school bus, or if they ride their bike, um, or whether they enter through the cafeteria. There's going to be 2 locations right there where they will take their pouch, unlock their pouch, put their cell phone on airplane mode or power it down. They will then put the cell phone into the pouch. If they have a smartwatch, that also should be powered down in the pouch, as well as any AirPods. Any of these Bluetooth-enabled connected devices should be in the pouch. And then as they're walking away from the magnet that they use to unlock their pouch, they just close it. They lock it closed, and then they will show to a staff member that their pouch is filled with their devices and locked. The students keep their devices and the pouch. We are going to recommend that they keep it in their backpack, which should stay in the locker in their locker all day. And it will be safe until dismissal, when We have a few more locations in addition to the cafeteria and the main lobby where students will be able to unlock their pouch, remove their devices, and then we are recommending that they relock their pouch. Now, there's been some questions about why we want them to relock their pouch after it's empty. If the pouch is locked once it's empty, then there's no danger of anybody messing around with their pouch, putting things in the pouch and locking it on them, that will prevent them from using those devices or whatever is in there until the next school day when they can unlock it again. I say this knowing that we are also ordering additional stations, these magnets, for both in the school. So at dismissal, right now we have 6 fixed stations and 2 portable stations that we can use. We're looking for a few more just to make sure that students at dismissal won't be delayed and that the buses can leave on time. I know that when we actually roll this out next Tuesday, the buses are going to wait until we call them and let them know that our students are out of the building, because we are concerned that there may be some delays the first day of implementation. Another thing we're hoping, or not hoping, but planning to install is one exterior magnet that will be in a visible space where there's a camera, but that will allow students, if for some reason their pouch is locked after school hours and after the office is closed, where they can still unlock their device. But I'm going to go ahead and show you. Let's see if I can do this without messing things up. And Mr. Walters, if you can just confirm that the sound quality is okay. I know it starts off with a really poor visual. There's a distortion in the visual when I first start this. But let's see how it goes.
Okay. Mr. Doe, is it difficult to use these Yondr pouches?
Not at all. Watch how simple it is. First thing I'm going to do is just take the green side, put it against the magnet, press the button, and unlock the pouch. And then I'm just going to put my device, turn it off first, power it down, put it in the pouch, relock it, and just show that it is locked. It's sealed. That's all there is to it.
Fantastic.
Okay, so that was the morning arrival demonstration. By the way, just for some of the parents who I know are concerned about just being able to know where their kids are and track them, if the student puts the computer or the device, the phone, on airplane mode, you can still track that. You can still know where the child is, even if it's in the pouch. Here's what an afternoon dismissal might look like. And this we move down to a 7th grade hallway where one of the devices is, because that's an area where a lot of our students exit the building at 2:30.
So, Mr. Doe, how do I get my phone out of my Yondr pouch?
Well, you saw how easy it was this morning to put it in. So now I'm going to have you just do it in reverse. Take the green side.
Wow, beautiful. Got my phone.
Mr. Walters, don't forget to keep it locked. That just prevents any.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God. My sister would lock this at home in here if it was unlocked.
Okay. All right. So that's just an overview of how it would work, what the students would do. That's basically it. When they arrive at school, they open the pouch, unlock it, put their devices in, and relock it. At the end of the day, as they're exiting, they unlock the device, remove their devices, and relock the pouch. It is a one-to-one assignment, so every student is going to get their own pouch. We are not putting names on the pouch like it shows in the picture here. We are actually putting their homeroom number and a specific number. So the inventory would be something like F2-1, F2 being the room number for their homeroom, and then 1 through 24 for the different students. So what happens if a student is found with a phone outside of their pouch or any of the other devices? This is actually somewhat similar to our former practice. The device is confiscated, most likely by a teacher or another staff member. They turn it into the main office. We hold it. It's held by the administrator, and it's returned to the student after we make contact with the parent. It's given back at the end of the day, but we'll reach out to the parents to let them know that we did have a violation. The second violation, again, it's I think in our former practice, I think it was the third violation, but now it's the second violation that we are going to only return the device to a parent or guardian after we have a meeting with the parent or guardian. If there are further violations, we're trying to move to more restorative practices in Weston. There may be an opportunity for community service. It might be some research. It may be a learning project. It may be learning more about why we are having this practice, or maybe filming a public service announcement for our morning show that we do every morning, the video announcements that we do. It could be an individual electronics plan that's developed. It could be counseling, or it could be other measures determined as determined by the administrators in partnership with the families. I think the success of this program really does depend on the support of the families and the buy-in from the students. We know that these pouches are not indestructible. That's why we have a $40 replacement fee for damaged pouches, because human nature being what it is, and frankly, adolescents, middle school students, we kind of expect that some of them are going to be curious to see, can they pry it open? Can they bash it open? We're going to talk to them tomorrow and hopefully convince them that this really is done with their best interest in mind, and that we need their cooperation. But should there be damage or loss, there will be a fee. One of the questions that I put here, just because it's been asked so many times, is what happens in the event of an emergency? Parents have gotten used to being able to contact their students, even though they weren't supposed to. We know that parents have texted their kids, and the kids have texted parents or called them from school during the day. But if there is a real emergency, and I was just speaking with our safety director, Joe Rios, yesterday, and he was telling me and showing me the research that says the experts tell us that the last thing you want in a real emergency is for students to be on their personal devices. We need students to be alert and attentive to the instructions that the staff or first responders are giving them if there's a truly horrific emergency. And we can't have the chaos that would ensue if students were on their personal devices, talking to parents, maybe even getting contradictory instructions from parents. So again, that's why during a real emergency event, we don't want students on their cell phones. In terms of workarounds and trying to figure out how to get around the system, which I kind of fully do expect some of our students to do as middle school students, there are magnets that could work on Yondr pouches. It's uncommon. It's usually quickly discovered. And I also know that Yondr has, just renewed or updated their proprietary rights. so that it's less likely, but a powerful magnet will unlock these pouches. Again, that's why we really need the students to also buy into this and for parents to be supportive. All other devices, whether it's a smartwatch or AirPod, they also need to be in the pouch. I wanted to take this opportunity also just to let the parent community know that the district is bringing in Max Stossel. If you just Google Max Stossel Social Awakening, you can find a video where he talks with kids about the impact of cell phones and social media on their lives. We're bringing Mr. Stossel in on November 21st. There'll be an evening presentation for parents. So if you could keep that evening free, that would be great. There also will be daytime presentations for both middle and high school students, uh, just to talk about this impact. All right, as I mentioned earlier, we have posted a frequently asked questions on our website. I'm just going to just click on that link real quick to show you. It's from our main school website on the news feed. You will see these questions. It talks about why we're changing our practices. It really is about school climate and culture. If you take the time to read through this, what about changes in the dismissal or after school plans? Your loss of ability to contact your children. What can you do? You can still call the school. Students can actually still call you if they need to. We have a phone available for students to use in the main office. We do hope, though, that students get into routines and that they don't have frequent changes to their dismissal plan, kind of last minute changes that happen during the school day. I've already talked about what happens if something truly horrific occurs at the school and why we don't want students on their phones. But what you may or may not know is that we have phones throughout the building in every single classroom that have direct 911 access. And not only is that direct 911 access to the communications center in Weston, they actually know the location of where that phone call was made. Some parents have already reached out to me about concerns regarding how anxious their children might be about this change and not having access to their devices. And that's something we're going to talk to the students about tomorrow when we give them our presentations. But from all of the research that I've seen, in the long run, this change should actually reduce anxiety among the students and lead to improved mental health for our students. I think I've already spoken about what happens if a student has their device outside the pouch. What happens if my student arrives without the Yondr pouch, which can happen. Kids forget things. We expect that. They just need to come to the office and turn in their device, and we'll hold it for them for the day. And there's no, there's no violation, there's no penalty. If it becomes a pattern, then I think we would work with the parents and the guardians to resolve the issue. I already mentioned that there's a $40 fee for loss or damage. And this last one, suggestions that might make this more successful. The thing that Mr. Walters said, keep the pouch in the locked condition at all times. It's locked. They only unlock it when they're putting the device in and then relocking it, and then they're unlocking it to take the devices out, and then they're relocking it. It will go a long way to prevent issues if students keep it in the locked position at all other times. And I guess finally, it was just that, having parent support, letting your child know that you support this effort. And I know from the Board of Ed meeting last spring, where so many parents talked, and I know that many of our 6th grade families have already taken a pledge to not allow their children to have cell phones until at least 8th grade. So I know that we do have a lot of support in the community. And I think that's what's necessary to really make this cultural shift successful and positive for the students. Um, the only other thing I wanted to say before I turn it over to Mr. Walters for any additional questions and answers is that please remember that our back to school night for the middle school is Thursday, September 19th from 6:30 to 8:30. And we all look forward to seeing you in person that evening. And more information about that will be coming up. Just please remember to check my week ahead emails that come out. I usually schedule them for Sundays at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I usually talk about some of the upcoming events for that week and some important dates on the horizon. Mr. Walters, is there anything else in the chat or questions that I didn't cover yet? And you need to unmute yourself so that I can hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Yep.
Thanks.
In regards to AirPods, I know we're, asking the students to lock those up, but the kids are using their AirPods for some of their classes.
Yes, and that came up with the faculty after school today as well. And we're talking about other types of ear, I guess, earphones that we can use. We have earphones in the library. They're very inexpensive, just the kind that plug into the Chromebooks. And that's what we're encouraging teachers to have students use, whether it's for assessments or whether it's like for world language classes. We'll want to transition students away from the AirPods and the Bluetooth um, earbuds or earphones to the kind of earphones that will plug in to their Chromebooks.
And yeah, there's a few questions, comments just about change in dismissal plans and, not being able to text with your child. What's the best
Oh,
way?
so first of all, maybe I wasn't clear about this. The students have their phones available right at dismissal, so they can unlock their pouch and check right away for any changes. In fact, that really is kind of the way it should have been up until now. I guess the fact that it wasn't just shows that our former practice really wasn't holding true if kids were able to get messages from their parents during the school day. It's actually that kind of distraction that we're trying to avoid. But an additional plan or backup would be to reach out to the main office. Um, we're hoping that we're not going to have uh, an inundation of phone calls from parents with last minute changes, but in exceptional situations, that's fine, and we can accommodate that.
And just kind of to continue on that topic, the main other concern is if plans change, even if, say, a child's plan changes and they need to contact a parent and they try calling, but the parent, isn't available due to their work schedule. In the past, yeah, of course, a text would be an easy way to
Mhm.
communicate. So I know, Dan, this comment here where I live in Fairfield, they're implementing a policy too. There is, which I don't truly understand how they're going to do this, but they're having a designated area and time for students to quickly check their messages with
Yeah.
parents. And I think that's the
Yeah.
concern from a couple parents in response to these changes, and especially if you don't live close to the school, you might work, in another town or even
Mhm.
have a stepchild in, another
Right.
town and live elsewhere, for instance. So,
Yeah, we're really trying to keep the school day free from distractions and communication. And yet, like I said, we do have ways for kids to reach out to their parents from the main office if it's an emergency change, or for parents to call into the main office if they need to. Um, but we are not looking to have um I guess cell phone breaks is what I'm thinking of. I'm almost imagining like mass breaks during
right.
COVID. We're not looking to do that because I think that would be counterproductive to our desire to create this distraction-free school day for the kids.
Yeah. And I know you touched on this. Are there going to be enough locking, unlocking stations so there won't be a major time effect?
Yeah, I'm not worried about the morning. I am concerned about afternoon dismissal, and I'm very grateful for the support of Mr. DeVito at our central office, and he's already put in the order for additional mounted locking stations. Right now, we have 6 stations mounted, and we have 2 portable ones. But and that's why I know that Tuesday and Wednesday next week we may have to hold the buses if it's delayed too much. Like I said, I'm hopeful and positive because of the number of uh, students that don't have cell phones. It's not like all of our students, and we're just under 500 students this year. Not all of them have cell phones.
And we will have a staff member at each station at dismissal,
Yes.
keeping an eye and helping out the kids.
Yep.
How do you propose handling a situation if after-school programs are canceled by the teacher with notice only to students during the day?
That's a good point. So the sometimes those aren't even made until right at 2:30, and students will have access to their devices after 2:30. Um, but we can send out we can change our practice also in terms of sending out an alert to let families know if scheduled activities are canceled.
A
I'm
couple
making a
more,
note of that.
couple more comments just about, yeah, getting to the buses on time.
Mhm.
We are, working with the team leaders to make sure buses stay, wait for all students, and if need be, just adjusting the plan for the first couple of days based on
Yes.
what we see. So,
Yes. Yeah. We're going to be monitoring it. I spoke with Mr. Cross, our um, director of finance and operations today. And he's been in contact with the bus garage. So the bus garage is going to wait on Tuesday to have buses roll, and they're going to wait for us to give them the green light based on how our dismissal is working on Tuesday, because it's going to be new. I think it would be unrealistic to think there might not be a few bumps that first day. So we're preparing for it, and the buses are ready to wait. I think the back of the school I'm not as concerned about because there's a natural flow
mhm.
to the parent pickup. It's not like everybody's leaving at the same time because the parents have to pull in and wait for the kids. So it's the buses that I'm the most concerned about.
Okay. A few more questions popped up. Has Yondr confirmed their pouch material is non-toxic?
Um, you know what? I haven't had that specific question about non-toxic. I know that you can wash it. If it's empty, it's washable. They recommend that it be dried, I believe. And I can send that out. That's a whole nother um, communication because I wasn't expecting that we would need to be washing these right away, although it may get to the point where they need to be washed. Um, yeah, but I wouldn't think that kids would put these in their mouths and eat them, but you never know.
And what about kids who do not have a phone? Will they be given a pouch?
Yes, every student is going to be given a pouch, and God bless the parents that haven't given their kids phones. I think when when my own kids were younger, I don't think we knew what we were doing as parents, and I think the younger generation of parents have more information and are a lot smarter, and a lot of them are choosing not to give their children these phones at such early ages. But yes, every student will get a pouch. If they don't have a device, they can just put that pouch in the bottom of their backpack and keep it there. Um, and hopefully turn it back into us at the end of the year unused, because we will need to collect these at the end of the year.
And it goes on, yeah, if a child or say even a family decides to have the phone stay at home, no pouch is necessary then for.
They'll still get a pouch, but they won't need to use it. Exactly.
Right. And will eighth graders see this program policy at WHS next year?
I can't speak to that because I don't think at this time last year I anticipated this for us. Um, I think uh, many high schools have moved to this, but middle schools definitely seem to be the sweet spot for these Yondr pouches. Uh, the elementary schools, K5, tend kids tend not to have phones at that age. Middle school is the age when, at least in Weston, traditionally, parents were giving phones to their kids. And yet it's also when they're just sometimes not mature enough to really know how to handle the power of the phone, whether it's the apps, the social media. Um, it's interesting because one of the presenters that came and spoke to the staff at our convocation talked about the whole idea that, since I don't know, I think it was like since 1995 or so, we have been much more protective of kids in the physical world, attending not just their sporting events, but even the practices and arranging the play dates or not allowing kids to have sleepovers. And yet in the digital environment, we've been very permissive. And that's what they're calling this anxious generation that we've created or contributed to, with just because I don't think we knew what we know now. So, I'm sorry, the question you asked to begin with, and I got on that
It's really just
rant.
as high school kids.
The high school, yeah, I don't know. I can't talk about Weston High School for next year at this point.
And yeah, there's a few, just to be transparent here, there's a few concerns. Is this official? What if we disagree? And some
Yeah,
challenges in regards to,
yeah.
your family dynamic in regards to living in town versus that, being able to stay in
No,
communication with your child. But
yeah, I get it. And I've had families reach out to me directly about this. And every kid is different, every family is different. And, I can't really be, as I said, I know we didn't know certain things. And yet, even knowing what we know, kids are different. Some kids can handle a cell phone and some kids can't. But in terms of the school day, that's under our control. That's what I have a responsibility for. That's what Mr. Walters has a responsibility for. And we have a whole number of policies and practices that you know maybe other schools don't have and some parents would disagree with, but it's our responsibility. And in this situation, yes, this is official. This is the way it is in Weston, at Weston Middle School. Um, and when you send your kids to the public school, you follow the rules of that public school. I'm happy to talk to people and listen to them, but this is the official practice at Weston Middle School. This is in our purview as the middle school administrators, um, to institute, and we're doing it for the reason that's listed there under question number 1. It really is connected to this this climate standard, really, school climate standard. We strive to create an environment where all members of our community are welcomed, supported, and feel safe in school, socially, emotionally, intellectually, culturally, physically. And we work hard to shape the culture to support teaching and learning. And I firmly believe that this practice, requiring Yondr pouches for devices during the school day, moves us in that direction and advances the students' academic, social, emotional well-being.
I think it's best with future, as these concerns pop up, to have conversations with us. And
Sure.
certainly the counselor is a great resource as well.
Hmm.
If a parent needs some support in regards to plans after the school day, if there's last minute changes and all.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking that there's more comments about the AirPods because we do use them sometimes for standardized testing for the smarter balance assessment. And I know the teachers use it for instruction.
But
And
we always have other options.
I guess the
We
comments were in regards to if the phone is off or put away, how can they use their AirPods? But
Yeah. Yeah,
sometimes,
we're not expecting kids to use the AirPods during the day. And I think, maybe parents also I should just let them know that we also know that many students are in the past, putting AirPods in and listening to music and kind of checked out of learning. And I think we really need to create a culture and an environment where we prioritize learning, where we prioritize focus, and as I said earlier, social interactions with their peers and with their teachers. All right.
I mean, we have some, similar concerns, but I think it's to the
Mhm.
point where,
Yeah, I would encourage,
um,
yeah, families to reach out to either me or Mr. Walters. Um, we'll be there on back to school night. Happy to talk to parents. And I think the other thing, like I said earlier, change is difficult for everyone, for parents and for children. But everything that I have learned about this practice is that by and large, even the even the students who were not happy about the change recognized the benefit to them after it was instituted and they lived it for a while. So I'm optimistic that that will be our finding as well. All right.
so Dan, just there are a couple parents that want to continue to discuss, the replacement costs, even though they weren't decided in
Mm-hmm.
part of the ultimate decision,
Mm-hmm.
and the concerns addressing it now.
Yeah. I guess to me, this feels very similar to, I guess it was about 9 years ago when we started the Chromebook policy. It was a big change. Um, there's also a replacement cost for the Chromebooks. Um, I think it's very similar to that, and that would be the parallel that I would draw to. But yeah, parents can definitely reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to parents, um, individually or in small groups. You know, because honestly, this will not be successful if if we don't have significant community support. And I have I have to say, I mostly ever since last spring when we first sent this information out, I heard overwhelming support from the community. All right. Well, thank you all of you for joining us. And again, uh, please come Thursday, September 19th, back to school night, um, and meet your teachers, visit the school, and those of you who want to reach out before then, please feel free to. Thanks a lot. All right. On that note, Drew, I think it's time to say good night.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. Good night. I think, Drew, you were the one that ends it.